Hey Shinfield, nice to meet you. My name is Stephen and I'm a family friend of Nathan's. We grew up together in Sunday school, so we know each other pretty well. He's kindly asked me just to say some words of contribution to your series on prayer. So forgive me if I keep glancing across to my notes, but I made some notes to make sure I cover what is hopefully of value to people. Now, I often say to Nathan, one of his strengths is using real life examples to bring the scripture and religion into the modern day. So I will do my best to use some of my own personal examples as we discuss prayer. Now, I'm the first to admit that I'm not a textbook Christian. I don't go to church every week, and trust me, I am more fallible than most. But one thing I do take seriously, and I'm very active in, is my personal conversations with God. And that's what prayer is to me, my personal conversations with God. Naturally, these feel like one-way conversations. I've yet to hear the loud booming voice booming through the ceiling, giving me absolute clarity. But I understand that's not how God works. And perhaps a perfectly scripted life would be less exciting. In prayer, my tone is informal and mostly said in my head, not aloud. And I can talk to God many times during any one day, usually throwaway lines. A quick request, please let this presentation go well at work, Lord. Please let this meeting go well, Lord. Please let me do this piece of work the best I can possibly do it, Lord. And it may be a thank you. Thank you for the lovely sunset, Lord. Thank you for the great waves in the sea today on holiday. Thank you for those autumn leaves on the trees. Many conversations, snippets during the day. Sometimes I get mad with God. I get frustrated when things don't go how I want them to. I can be like a petulant child. Well, thanks a lot, God. And what did I do to deserve that, God? And sometimes we'll even share a joke where I'll say, okay, God, you're right, I'm wrong. I trust you. You know best. At night, I usually say a more structured prayer. Thanks for my family, Lord. Thank you for this lovely family home. Thank you for our village. Thank you for everything you've blessed me with. I'll pray for any requests, usually for me, but often for friends and family as well. And I always pray for protection over my family and the things I love. For me, conversations with God are the cornerstone of my faith. As I previously said, I don't hear an audible voice. I don't think anybody does. But I believe God responds with thoughts and a crazy game of hide and seek where he opens and closes doors that guide me the correct way. And sometimes it can seemingly take an age before I get any response at all. But God cannot and will not be rushed. As the scripture says, everything in his time. And so to my personal examples on the effectiveness of prayer. And these are two, in my opinion, strong examples of how prayer has really helped me. And I feel I've had a response from God. So my first example is when my youngest son, Freddie, fell ill with a lymph gland infection and was seriously ill in hospital. He had a high temperature that suddenly dropped from 42 degrees to 30 degrees very quickly, and the hospital were really worried that the disease and the infection was spreading to his brain, which would be really serious. I clearly remember sitting in that ward, petrified, sick with fear, almost shaking. Freddie with tubes in his arms, connected to a heart rate monitor. My wife Lisa rocking on the end of the bed with fear. I remember pleading with God, please God, make him better, Lord. Please send an angel down to sit on his shoulder and make everything okay. Now, I will remember that night for the rest of my life. There was this sense of calm, a presence in the room that descended really quickly, and this feeling of tranquility. Really hard to explain. But Freddie drifted off to sleep. Lisa fell asleep next to him. And I experienced a sense of peace and ease that I'd never experienced before and have never experienced since. I just knew that everything was going to be okay. And in the morning, Freddie awoke wanting to play with his train set on the hospital floor. A complete miraculous turnaround. I have no doubt in my mind that that was God answering prayer. My second example is a bit more recent. In 2019, I received what I thought was a blessing from God. I was offered a position on the board of directors as a private equity portfolio company and the chance to invest with the opportunity to make great returns in a few years. I borrowed a large sum of money on a mortgage, invested it, thinking in 3 years' time I would be mortgage free, I could have a better work-life balance, life would be great. But in February, disaster struck. The company was bankrupt. I was not paid for the work I'd just worked for a month. There was no notice pay, and my investment was gone. I was quickly faced with a situation where my mortgage was worth more than the house. And if I did not find work soon, we would have to sell our family home and move out of our village where the boys went to school, all our friends lived. It was a horrible, horrible situation. As you can imagine, I was angry. My initial response was, why God? What have I done to deserve this, God? Why are you punishing me, God? And then my anger dissipated and I started to pray more positively. But opportunity came and didn't materialise. Opportunity came but didn't materialise. Doors were closing all around me. Very, very frightening situation. And then the coronavirus lockdown. Another sarcastic prayer to God. Dare I ask what next? Are you kidding me? A global pandemic. What else can possibly go wrong? I remember laying in bed, literally sweating with fear. Several times I actually cried out loud, please Lord, rescue us from this. Please God, deliver us from this nightmare situation. But again, no response immediately. But then a thought popped into my head. In the past, whenever a door closes, another one opens for the better. And then conversely, my brain would say, but you've never been in this mess before. But eventually I prayed, okay, Lord, I trust that you've got this. It makes no sense to me. I cannot understand it, but I have to trust you. And I prayed this several times. And then, at the peak of the coronavirus lockdown, I received a mortgage holiday longer than I would have achieved without the virus. And then I secured a 6-month work contract with hopefully a full-time job at the end of it that would pay just enough to get us by until October, with hopefully the opportunity of an extension. Again, only God could deliver that in the current situation. Now I'm still worried and I'm not out of the woods yet. But again, the thought comes in. Trust the track record. Trust the track record. So I encourage all of you. Pray regularly. Speak to God. Lean on God. Pester God. Any prayer I think is highly valuable. So I encourage you all. Again, nice to meet you all. Get to know you through some of the services. Take care. Bye-bye.